rise of socialism right here in the United States of America and what is a new radical and extreme and frankly dangerous Socialist Democratic Party that is pretty much declaring war on the American dream and freedom. They are vilifying wealth and success and penalizing innovation, stomping all over the principles that made this the greatest place on earth, the envy of the free world. Their goals are simple. They want the government to control your property, your businesses, your health care, your money, your self-defense. Scary. Don't be fooled by broad, lofty promises of security and emotional appeals. This new radical Democratic Socialist Party, they want the government to pretty much supervise your entire life. And that's why tonight we begin with analysis on this radical crop of left-wing candidates vying to take over the White House and defeat Donald Trump in 2020. Pretty scary picture, but let not your heart be troubled. We're going to be exposing them nightly on this program as they try to out-liberal each other. Now, for months, we've warned that any Democrat that is competing for the party's nomination, they've got to prove their radical socialist ideals. And now what we're watching is this all play out in real time. Look at California Senator Kamala Harris, likely Democratic frontrunner, starting to echo the policies of like the socialist freshman Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Last night, Senator Harris even threw her support behind a government takeover of energy. That's the lifeblood of our economy. An end of oil, so-called a new Green Deal, or Green New Deal, whatever that means. Watch this.
I support a Green New Deal, and I will tell you why. Climate change is an existential threat to us, and we have got to deal with the reality of it.
Hold on. The nationalization of energy? Oh, that worked out so well for Venezuela. Why not try it here? Now, that means millions and millions. We are now the biggest oil producer in the world, surpassing the evil regime of Russia and the Saudis. Think of all the high-paying jobs, careers of people in the energy industry. Think of energy independence, gone. We'll be dependent again on foreign oil. Efficient, affordable sources of energy to heat your home, to fill up your car, to turn on your lights, gone. The lifeblood of the economy, gone. The same left-wing geniuses, that was scaring people in the 70s to believe, look at that, the big freeze, the next ice age is coming. That's what they told us in the 70s. That then evolved into, the world has a fever, as Al Gore said, and scaring people. Gore even once predicted, Al Gore, that the world's ice caps could be completely melted by 2014. That's 5 years ago. Now it's just generic climate change, so they're covered. Whatever the temperature is cold, hot, snow, no snow, ice, no ice, doesn't matter. The extreme, radical, left-wing Socialist Democratic Party, they're willing to literally forfeit what is the lifeblood of every economy on the planet in the hopes that big, mother, huge socialist government is going to save the planet, but we'll do it alone, and it gets worse. Harris calling for the complete government takeover of the healthcare industry. And the 175 million of you, the American people, we the people, that have private healthcare insurance, you would no longer legally be allowed to keep it. She said that last night. So much for liberals being so pro-choice. Let's take a look.
You support the Medicare for All bill, I think initially co-sponsored by Senator Bernie Sanders. You're also a co-sponsor on it. I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance. So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Well, listen, the idea is that everyone gets access to medical care, and you don't have to go through the process of going through an insurance company, having them give you approval, going through the paperwork, all of the delay that may require. Who of us has not had that situation where you got to wait for approval and the doctor says, well, I don't know if your insurance company is going to cover this? Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
You don't get the choice of health care. What about keep your doctor, keep your plan, and save less? That didn't work out well either. So naturally, Kamala Harris also wants open borders. With 90% of the heroin that comes into this country crosses that southern border that she's promising never to secure. She'll never vote for a wall. Oh, and the fentanyl that crosses that border, and the cartels, and the gang members, and the human and drug trafficking, and the death and destruction. Oh, and those angel moms and dads, don't they deserve better than this? Take a look.
Okay, well, maybe we'll let the kids stay, but not their parents. So yet again, we have an example of this administration willing to separate children from their parents, which is inhumane and contrary to who we are and the values we hold as Americans. Let me be very clear, I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances.
What about the permanent separation, Senator Harris? You know, maybe you can meet with angel moms and dads that because of states like yours in California, you know, that allow literally the protection of even criminal illegal aliens, and you let them go free and you don't turn them over to ICE because you have sanctuary protections. You're going to meet with those parents? That's permanent separation. Now, of course, like any good radical socialist, Senator Harris, she wants the government also, well, she doesn't really fully believe in that Second Amendment thing. Take a look.
There is no reason in a civil society that we have assault weapons around communities that can kill babies and police officers.
All right, so let's keep track of Kamala's radical socialist checklist. Government takeover of a huge, profitable, efficient private industry in the name of climate change when we're finally now energy independent. Check. Government takeover of healthcare. You can't have your own insurance, thereby ending all free market competition. Check. Taking health insurance from 177 million Americans, you will no longer be allowed to have your private plan. You know what? They got to spread the wealth around. Check. $32 trillion in 10 years of your hard-earned money. That's $3.2 trillion a year. Almost every penny the government takes in every year. Oh, check. Open borders, that too. And unfettered immigration, check. A society where only the government is allowed to have weapons, check. And like any radical movement, the left is also trying to erase what has been, our Judeo-Christian principles. Oh yeah, we're endowed by our Creator. Somebody wrote that once. In at least one House committee, Democrats are actually moving to strike the words, "So help you God," from the oath. This reads like a playbook for a strong-arm socialist takeover of some banana republic. But no, this is their plan for the United States of America. Welcome to your new radical extreme Democratic Socialist Party. Now, naturally, Socialist Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, very supportive of at least one of her colleagues' big new plans, on top of the 70% tax rate. Take a look.
Do you support Senator Harris's proposal last night, Medicare for all, and eliminate private insurance companies?
You know, I think that's the direction that we absolutely need to go in.
So you're really surprised Cortez has been pushing her party left from the very moment she was nominated. Let's take a look.
Medicare for all would save the American people a very large amount of money. Capitalism has not always existed in the world, and it will not always exist in the world. Maybe this idea of idealizing this outcome of maybe one day you too can be a billionaire and own more than millions of families combined is not an aspirational or good thing. How much is at what level are we really just living in excess? And what kind of society do we want to live in?
$32 trillion. That's just about every penny the government takes in. Medicare for all. And of course, Ocasio-Cortez might have a hard decision coming up. Will she vote for Senator Harris, who literally supports all of her ideas, or maybe Elizabeth Warren, who took it a step further and just unveiled a pretty new scary tax plan of her own? By the way, a tax on wealth. If you're unfamiliar with Warren's new tax streams, she essentially wants to legalize government stealing of your money. Now, let's say you've accumulated and saved some money over the years, or have anything really of value. Warren wants the government to be able to take a cut of that. Now, wait a minute, that's after you've already paid your federal taxes, your state taxes, your property taxes, your sales taxes. Then whatever you save after that, she wants to go back again and legalize taking more. And then again, when you die, guess what? They want another bite of the apple. As a matter of fact, 40%. In other words, a tax on money that's already been taxed. And then you die and you pay more taxes. They'll take the gold out of your teeth. And keep in mind, the top 20% of wage earners in America, yeah, they already pay 90% of all income taxes. The bottom 50%, they pay 2%. Now, have we not learned a lesson here? Look at your screen. Now, that was the economy under Obama. We talked about it a lot. 13 million more Americans on food stamps, 8 million more in poverty, lowest labor participation rate since the 70s, lowest home ownership rate in 51 years, and took on more debt than all 43 presidents before him combined. And what today's Democrats proposing, that's even worse than Obama. Now, thankfully tonight, we are not the only ones terrified by the hard left and this turn of the Democratic Party. An all-out political civil war is now brewing beneath the surface as you have two liberal billionaires and potential presidential candidates. They're now speaking out against their party's radical turn. They want to keep their money, and that includes former liberal New York City. You can't have a big gold mayor, Michael Bloomberg. You can't have salt on the table. You got to ask somebody for salt. He slammed the Democrats' pie-in-the-sky policies, calling Elizabeth Warren's proposed tax on wealth Venezuelan. And meanwhile, fellow billionaire, former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz, he's now openly considering a presidential run as an independent because he doesn't think any of the socialist Democrats running could actually beat President Trump. Watch this.
If you kind of look at the tea leaves today, it appears that the Democratic Party is shifting far, far left with very strong progressive ideas, the likes of which we should talk about.
All right, now following those remarks, Howard Schultz learned that in the new radical far-left Democratic Party, dissension is not allowed. You got to toe the line. Take a look.
And I wanted to clarify the word independent, which I view merely as a designation on the ballot.
Don't help elect Trump, you egotistical billionaire. Go back to getting ratioed on Twitter. Go back to Davos with the other billionaire elite who think they know how to run the world.
Now, today's Democratic Party is downright disturbing, and believe it or not, it actually gets worse. Many elected Democrats are now openly associating with bigots, real anti-Semites. Now, for weeks, we have exposed some Democrats' close friendships with the anti-Semitic racists like Linda Sarsour and Tamika Mallory. Tonight, the scandal grows even deeper. According to a report from the Daily Caller, freshman Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib actually belongs to a Facebook group where fellow members frequently express their anti-Semitic views and demonize people that are Jewish. And that's not all. Tlaib's key fundraiser and campaign organizer frequently shares an anti-Semitic post on social media, including a recent video that refers to Jewish people as satanic and questions the existence of the Holocaust, a Holocaust denier. Now remember, we're talking about the same Congresswoman who has called for boycotts of all things Israel. And let's not forget about Tlaib's colleague. That would be Congresswoman Omar. She wants to lift sanctions on Venezuela, but impose sanctions on our closest ally in the Middle East, Israel. I wonder why. And this week we learned that while she was serving as a state legislator in Minnesota, she actually urged a federal judge, not making this up, to show leniency towards a group of 9 men that wanted to join ISIS. And now while some Democrats struggle to cover up their radical views and these associations, others absolutely obsessing about one thing: impeach Trump, which I warned you about before the election. And of course, that includes the impeachment cheerleader herself, Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Recently, she patted herself on the back for her wild, nonstop, reckless speculation. Take a look.
I am pleased that I started the conversation early. I believe that the president early on had defined himself as someone who was incapable of being a legitimate president. And so I started the conversation. Of course, we got a lot of criticism. I got a lot of criticism. But he has been defining himself ever since. And you will hear impeachment being talked about more and more.
Of course, but you wouldn't tell us before the election. But that was your plan, and endless investigations, and you want the crumbs back, and you want open borders, and you want to eliminate ICE. This party has gone so far to the radical left. Now, in case you were wondering, Maxine Waters apparently found a smoking gun in her impeachment quest. She just doesn't have any evidence to back it up. Forget about due process and the presumption of innocence. Take a look.
We know that Putin wants these sanctions lifted. And I've said from the beginning that I believe, and I don't have the proof, but I believe that Manafort was sent to the campaign